Captain Jum Kim floated through the dark tunnel of mining asteroid K-351. His suit lights cut through the dusty air. He was alone here, the only human for many light years. Oxygen levels normal. Continuing survey of Section E7. He said into his comm unit. The mining company wanted to know if this old section had any metals left. June pushed himself forward, using the handles on the walls. The gravity was very weak here. His tool belt clinked against his suit as he moved. The silence of space wrapped around him like a blanket. Min, are you getting these readings? June asked his ship's computer. I'm seeing strange power signals ahead. Confirmed, Captain. Min's voice crackled in his ear. Power source detected. Not in our database. June frowned. This section was supposed to be empty. The Vostok Trading Consortium had said no one had been here for years. So why was something using power? He turned a corner and saw a faint blue light coming from a side tunnel. It pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat. June checked his air supply. Still 4 hours left. He had time to check it out. Going to investigate, he told Min. Keep the channel open. The side tunnel was narrower. June had to pull himself along carefully. The blue light got brighter. He could hear a soft humming now. The tunnel opened into a small round room. June stopped, his mouth falling open behind his helmet visor. In the center of the room sat a large machine. It had many blinking lights and tubes running from it. But what shocked June was what was connected to the machine. A small alien child was chained to the center panel. She had pale blue skin that glowed slightly. Her head was larger than a human child's, with no hair. Her eyes were closed. Her small hands were pressed against a glowing panel. Min, June whispered. Are you seeing this? Affirmative, Captain. Subject appears to be a juvenile Tavan female, approximately 8 Earth years in equivalent development. June moved closer. The alien girl was thin, too thin. Her chest moved up and down slowly. She wore only a simple gray shift. Metal bands around her wrists connected her to the machine. What is she doing here? June asked, though he knew Min wouldn't have an answer. The girl's eyes suddenly opened. June gasped. They were pure white with no pupils, but somehow he knew she was looking right at him. She tilted her head slightly. June felt something brush against his mind, a feeling of fear, confusion, and then hope. It's okay, June said softly, moving closer with his hands raised to show he meant no harm. I won't hurt you. The girl's mouth moved, but no sound came out. June remembered what he knew about Tavans. They were telepathic. They spoke with their minds, not their voices. He looked at the machine. Now he understood. The Vostok were using her telepathic abilities to run their mining equipment. They had enslaved a child to process their data. Anger rose in June's chest like fire. This was wrong. This broke every human law and Galactic Union ethics rule he knew. Min, scan the room. I need to know how she's connected to this system. Scanning, Captain. Caution advised. Vostok protocols detected. Tampering may trigger alarms. June looked at the girl again. Her white eyes watched him. He could feel her fear, but also a tiny spark of something else. Hope. What's your name? June asked gently, tapping his chest. I'm June. The girl slowly raised one thin arm, as far as her chains would allow. She pointed to a small tag on her shift. On it were strange symbols, but his suit's translator converted them. Nari, June read aloud. The girl nodded slightly. Another feeling brushed June's mind. This time it was clearer. A question. Was he going to hurt her like the others? No, June said firmly, shaking his head. I'm not like them. I'm going to help you, Nari. I promise. He didn't know how yet, but Captain Jum Kim knew one thing for certain. He wasn't leaving this asteroid without the little alien girl with the sad eyes and hopeful mind. June knelt beside Nari, careful not to touch the machine she was connected to. He needed to understand more before he could help her. Min, can you translate if she tries to communicate with me? June asked his ship's eye. Taven communication is mostly empathic, Captain, Min replied. The translator can only catch basic concepts. You will need to be patient. June nodded and pulled a small water pouch from his belt. He held it up for Neri to see. Water, he said slowly. Are you thirsty? Neri's white eyes followed his movements. A feeling of desperate thirst washed over June's mind. It was so strong it made his own throat feel dry. I'll help you drink, June said. He carefully held the straw to her cracked lips. Neri drank slowly. When she finished, gratitude flowed from her mind to his. It felt like warm sunshine. How long have you been here? June asked, pointing around the room, and then making this circular motion with his finger. Images flashed in June's mind. Stars moving. Seasons changing. Neri, smaller, being dragged by large gray aliens. Other children like her, crying without sound. 2 cycles, Min translated through his helmet. Approximately 2 Earth years. June felt sick. 2 years chained to this machine. 2 years as a living tool. Your family? June asked gently, making the shape of people with his hands. Pain hit June's mind like a wave. He saw a beautiful blue world with tall silver trees. Happy Taven people with glowing skin. Then ships coming. Fire. Screaming. Many children being taken. The Vostok raided her world, Min said. They took Taven children to use in their mining operations across the sector. June took a deep breath. He needed to stay calm for Neri's sake. Can you show me how you're connected to this machine? He asked, pointing to the metal bands on her wrists. Neri lifted her thin arms as far as the chains would allow. The metal bands glowed where they touched her skin. June scanned them with his suit's computer. The bands connect directly to her nervous system, Min reported. They force her telepathic abilities to interface with the mining equipment. Removing them incorrectly could cause permanent damage. June frowned. This was worse than he thought. He couldn't just break the chains and take her. Neri, he said, looking directly into her white eyes. I want to help you. I want to free you. But I need time to figure out how. Understanding flowed from her mind, but also fear. Images of large gray aliens returning, punishing her. The Vostok overseers, Min translated. They check on her every 3 days. They were here yesterday. June nodded. That gives us time. I'll come back tomorrow with better tools. Doubt touched his mind. Many feelings at once. Hope, but also distrust. Neri had been lied to before. June pulled out an emergency ration bar. He broke off a small piece and held it to her lips. Eat, he said. It will help you stay strong. As Neri chewed the food, June made a decision. He took off his outer jacket and gently wrapped it around her shoulders. I promise I will come back, he said firmly. Humans keep their promises. Confusion came from Neri's mind. The word human seemed new to her. I am human, June explained, pointing to himself. From Earth, we don't believe in keeping children as slaves, ever. Neri's eyes widened slightly. A new feeling touched June's mind. A tiny spark of hope, brighter than before. June stood up reluctantly. I need to go now to prepare, but I will return tomorrow. As he moved toward the tunnel entrance, a last message brushed his mind. It wasn't just words, but a feeling so strong it made his eyes water. Asterisk, please don't forget me, asterisk. I won't, June whispered, looking back at the small alien girl wrapped in his too large jacket. I promise. June returned to his ship to gather supplies. He filled a bag with tools, food, and medical items. He needed to be ready when he went back for Neri. As he worked, the ship's alarm sounded. Captain. Min's voice came through the speakers. A Vostok ship is docking with the asteroid. They were not scheduled to return until tomorrow. June's heart raced. Can they detect that I was in the mining tunnel? Unknown, but your heat signature may still be visible in their scans. June grabbed his bag and headed for the airlock. I'm going back. If they find out someone discovered Neri, Before he could finish, his comm unit buzzed. A deep voice spoke. Human Trader Kim. This is Commander Dole of the Vostok Trading Consortium. Please report to the central hub immediately. June's stomach tightened. He had no choice but to obey. The Vostok controlled this sector. His small trading ship was no match for their weapons. On my way, Commander, June replied, trying to sound calm. 20 minutes later, June stood in the asteroid's central hub. Commander Dole towered over him. The Vostok was nearly 8 feet tall with gray skin and 4 yellow eyes. Captain Kim, Dole's voice rumbled. Our sensors detected unauthorized access to Section E7. That area is restricted. June kept his face steady. I was conducting the resource survey as requested. My orders were to check all sections, including the one with our neural processor. Dole's upper eyes narrowed. June decided not to lie. If you mean the alien child you have chained to your mining equipment, then yes. Silence filled the room. The other Vostok workers stopped and stared. Dole made a sound like stones grinding together. It took June a moment to realize the alien was laughing. Ah, humans, so young to the stars. So emotional. Dole shook his massive head. What you saw was a Taven processing unit. They are naturally gifted with telepathic abilities that make our mining operations more efficient. That processing unit is a child, Jum said, trying to keep his voice level. What you're doing is slavery. Dole waved a 3-fingered hand dismissively. This is a common practice throughout the Galactic Union. The Raxus, the Bendari, even the Alphid Collective, all use telepathic species for industrial purposes. That doesn't make it right, June insisted. Right. Dole's yellow eyes blinked in sequence. What is right varies across the galaxy, human. The Taven serve a useful function. They are provided with nutrients and shelter. The arrangement benefits all. June clenched his fists. She's suffering. She was taken from her family. Your species has been among the stars for less than 2 centuries, Dole said. You cannot expect to understand the complex arrangements that keep galactic commerce functioning. The commander leaned closer. Your human moral concerns are considered primitive by most advanced species, charming but impractical. June thought of Nari's frightened eyes and the images of her home being destroyed. If treating children as tools is advanced, June said quietly, then I'm proud to be primitive. Dole straightened to his full height. Your survey contract is terminated, Captain Kim. You will leave this asteroid within 6 hours. Do not return. And if I report what I saw to the Galactic Union Council? June asked. Dole made the grinding laugh again. Feel free. The major powers already know. They simply choose not to see. He turned to leave, then stopped. This is business, human, nothing more. The wider galaxy accepted this reality long ago. June watched the commander leave. His mind raced. He had just lost his contract and possibly made a dangerous enemy. But none of that mattered. He had 6 hours to figure out how to save Nari. June rushed back to his ship, the Halcyon Asterisk. His mind raced faster than his feet. 6 hours wasn't much time. Min, call Director Suk at the human outpost in the Regal system, June ordered as soon as he was inside. Emergency channel. While the AI made the call, June gathered his tools and supplies. He spread them on the table in his small cabin. Captain Kim. Director Suk's face appeared on the screen. She was an older woman with short gray hair. This is unusual. What's happened? June told her everything. Finding Nari, the confrontation with Commander Dole, and his deadline to leave. I need help, June finished. We can't let them keep using children like this. Director Suk's face grew serious. I understand your feelings, June. What they're doing is wrong by every human standard. But our position in the Galactic Union is not strong enough to challenge the Vostok directly. So we do nothing? June asked, his voice rising. I didn't say that. Suk leaned closer to the screen. Officially, I must tell you to obey the Vostok order and return to the outpost. Unofficially, she paused. I have no idea what a brave trader might do in such a situation. June understood. She couldn't openly support him, but she wouldn't stop him either. Thank you, Director, June said. Be careful, Captain. The Vostok aren't known for their mercy. The screen went dark. June turned to his ship's eye. Min, I need to get Neri off this asteroid. But those neural bands connecting her to the mining system, how do we remove them safely? Min's voice came from the speakers. Based on my scans, the neural bands use Taven telepathic energy. They can be deactivated with a matching telepathic signature. But I'm not telepathic, Jum said. No, Min agreed. But the ship's communication system could be modified to create a similar signal. It won't be perfect, but it might work long enough to remove the bands. June nodded. How long to build it? 3 hours, Captain. Do it, June ordered. And I need something else. A distraction. Min was silent for a moment. I could program the ship to trigger the asteroid's emergency systems. False alarms in multiple sections would draw the Vostok security away from the mining tunnel. Would they know it was us? Eventually, yes. But not until we're already gone. June looked at his supplies again. I'll also need a way to carry Neri. She's weak from being chained up for so long. He found a soft thermal blanket and fashioned it into a simple carrier he could wear on his back. Next, he packed a medical kit, food, and water. As Min worked on the telepathic device, June studied the asteroid's layout on his screen. There were 3 routes from the mining tunnel to his docking bay. The main corridor would be too busy. The maintenance tunnels were an option, but they had security cameras. The old air ducts, Jum decided. They're tight, but we can fit. Hour by hour, the plan came together. Min finished the telepathic device, a small box with blinking lights that Jum could attach to the mining machine. With 1 hour left before his deadline to leave, Jum put on his spacesuit again. The device was secure in his pocket. The carrier was strapped to his back. Min, start the distraction in exactly 30 minutes, Jun said. Then prepare the ship for immediate departure. Yes, Captain. But I must warn you, this plan has only a 47% chance of success. Jun smiled grimly. Never tell me the odds. Min. He stepped into the airlock. For Neri, he would take those odds any day. Jun moved quickly through the empty corridors of the asteroid. Most Vostok workers were in the central hub, preparing for the next mining shift. This made his path easier, but time was still against him. Min, status report, Jun whispered into his comm. All systems ready, Captain. Distraction will begin in 7 minutes. Jun reached the entrance to the mining tunnel where Neri was kept. He paused, checking for guards. Seeing none, he slipped inside. The blue light still pulsed in the distance. Jun's heart beat faster as he approached. What if the Vostok had moved Neri after his talk with Commander Dole? But when he turned the corner, he saw her still there. His jacket was around her shoulders. Her white eyes opened as soon as he entered. Relief washed over him. Then he felt Neri's emotions touch his mind. Joy and fear mixed together. I'm here to take you away, Jun said softly, kneeling beside her, just like I promised. He pulled out the device Min had made. It was small with blinking lights that matched the rhythm of the mining machine. This will trick the machine, Jun explained, showing it to Neri. It will think you're still connected while I remove the bands. Confusion came from her mind. She didn't understand how it would work. Trust me, Jun said. He placed the device next to the main control panel. Just then, loud alarms began to sound throughout the asteroid. Red lights flashed in the tunnel behind him. Min has started the distraction, Jun told Neri. We don't have much time. He activated the device. It hummed and glowed, sending signals to the mining machine. Jun held his breath as he reached for the metal bands on Neri's wrists. The first band resisted, then clicked open. Neri gasped, the first sound Jun had heard her make. Pain flowed from her mind to his as the connection broke. "I'm sorry," Jum said, working faster on the second band. "Almost done." The second band opened. Neri slumped forward. Jum caught her thin body before she hit the ground. Her skin felt cool against his hands. The glow that had surrounded her was dimmer now. "Min, status update," Jum called as he wrapped Neri in the thermal blanket. "Vostok security forces are responding to alarms in sections A through D. You have approximately 12 minutes before they discover the false alerts." Jum carefully lifted Neri. She was so light, too light. He placed her in the carrier he had made and secured it to his back. "Hold on tight," he told her. "We're going to move fast." Neri's small arms wrapped around his neck. A feeling of trust flowed from her mind to his. It gave him strength. They left the mining room and headed for the old air ducts. June had to crawl with Neri on his back. The space was tight and dark. Dust floated in his suit lights. "Almost to the first junction," June whispered. Suddenly, his comm crackled. "Captain," Min's voice was urgent. "Vostok security has discovered the missing Taven. They are sealing all exits from the asteroid." June's stomach dropped. "How long do we have?" 3 minutes until complete lockdown." June moved faster, ignoring the sharp metal edges that scraped his suit. Neri held on tightly, her fear pulsing against his mind. "We'll make it," June promised her. "The Halcyon asterisk is ready to fly." They reached the end of the air duct. Below them was the corridor leading to his ship's docking bay. 2 Vostok guards stood at the entrance. "Min," June whispered, "we need another distraction. Right now." The lights in the corridor suddenly went out. Alarms blared even louder. The guards looked around in confusion, then ran toward the source of the new alarm. "Now," Jun said. He dropped down from the duct, protecting Nari with his body as they landed. The ship was just ahead. Freedom was just ahead. If they could only reach it in time. Jun ran toward his ship with Nari safely strapped to his back. His lungs burned. His legs ached. But he didn't slow down. The Halcyon's airlock was open, waiting for them. Jun jumped inside and slapped the emergency close button. "Min, get us out of here," he shouted as the airlock sealed. "Preparing for emergency launch," Min replied. "Vostok security ships are being deployed." Jun carefully removed Nari from the carrier and placed her on his small bed. She was awake but very weak. Her blue skin was pale, and the glow had almost disappeared. "You're safe now," Jun told her, tucking a blanket around her thin body. "Rest." Nari's white eyes looked up at him. Gratitude flowed from her mind to his, warm and bright. The ship rumbled as the engines fired. Jun hurried to the pilot's seat. Through the front window, he could see the asteroid's docking clamps still holding the Halcyon asterisk in place. "Min, we need to break free," Jun said, strapping himself in. "Increasing power to engines. Warning, this will damage the ship." The engines roared louder. Metal screamed as the clamps bent, then broke. The Halcyon asterisk shot away from the asteroid like a bullet. "Vostok pursuit ships launching," Min reported. 3 vessels. Heavy weapons detected. Jun looked at the navigation screen. They were near the Tela asteroid belt, a dangerous maze of rocks and ice. No sane pilot would go in there at high speed. "Set course for the Tela belt," Jun ordered. "Captain, that route has a 73% chance of collision. The Vostok ships are bigger than us. They'll have an even harder time." Jun's hands flew over the controls. "Trust me, Min." The Halcyon asterisk turned toward the asteroid belt. Behind them, the 3 Vostok ships followed, gaining speed. "They're charging weapons," Min warned. A bright flash lit up the cabin as energy beams shot past them. The ship shook from a near miss. "Entering the Tela belt in 10 seconds, Min said. Jun heard a small sound behind him. Nari had crawled from the bed and was now sitting on the floor near his chair. Her eyes were fixed on the approaching asteroid belt. "It's okay," June assured her. "I've flown through worse." Doubt touched his mind. Neri was afraid. "Watch," June said with a smile. The Halcyon plunged into the asteroid belt. Huge rocks flew past on all sides. June's hands moved quickly, guiding the ship through narrow gaps between the asteroids. Behind them, the Vostok ships followed. They were powerful but not as nimble. One ship scraped against a large rock, sending it spinning. Another had to slow down to avoid a collision. "We're gaining distance," Min reported. Suddenly, Neri made a soft crying sound. She swayed and fell to the side. June reached out and caught her with one arm while steering with the other. "Min, what's wrong with her?" June asked, worried. Scanning. A beam of light passed over Neri's body. The neural bands caused damage to her system. She needs medical care soon. June looked down at the small alien girl. Her eyes were closed now. Her breathing was shallow. "How soon?" "Within 48 hours, Captain." June's jaw tightened. They had escaped the asteroid. But now they faced a new challenge. Neri needed help, and they were in the middle of Vostok territory, with hostile ships behind them. "Min, scan for the nearest Tavan settlement or colony," June ordered. "No Tavan colonies registered in this sector, Captain. The nearest known settlement is in the Orion system, 4 days away at maximum speed." 4 days. Too long. Neri's small hand gripped June's arm. Her eyes opened slightly. Images flowed into his mind, stars in a pattern, a hidden place, others like her. "I think she knows somewhere closer," June said. "Somewhere secret." Hope rose in his chest. They would find help. They had to. The Halcyon limped through space. They had escaped the Vostok ships, but the chase through the asteroid belt had damaged their engines. Warning lights flashed on the control panel. "We need to make repairs soon," June said, looking at the blinking red lights. "Nearest trading post is Station 42, Min reported. Estimated arrival in 3 hours. June glanced back at Neri. She lay on his bed, wrapped in blankets. Her breathing was steady but weak. The glow of her skin flickered like a dying light. "Will it be safe?" June asked. "Station 42 is neutral territory, but Vostok ships visit often." June sighed. They had no choice. The ship needed repairs, and Neri needed help. "Set course for Station 42, he ordered, "and scan for any information about Tavans. Medical data, anything." As the ship changed direction, June sat beside Neri. Her white eyes opened slightly. "We're going to find help," he promised. Images drifted into his mind. Stars, a hidden place, safety. The same vision Neri had shared before. But now there was more. Other Tavans, waiting, hiding. "We'll find your people," June said. "But first we need to fix our ship." 3 hours later, the Halcyon docked at Station 42. It was a busy place, with ships of many kinds attached to its round metal body. Aliens of all shapes and sizes walked its corridors. "Stay here," June told Neri. "Keep the door locked." "Min." "Yes, Captain." June stepped into the station. He needed parts for the ship and medicine for Neri. He headed to the trading area, keeping his head down. The Vostok might have sent messages about him by now. At a small shop selling ship parts, June found what he needed. As the shop owner wrapped the parts, June asked carefully, "Do you know anything about Tavan physiology?" "I'm doing research." The shop owner, a tall alien with green scales, looked up sharply. "Why do you ask about Tavans? They are rare now." "Just curious," June said, trying to sound casual. The shop owner stared at him for a long moment. Then he leaned forward and whispered, "Wait outside. My friend Hyun will find you." June paid for the parts and left, confused. He stood in the busy corridor, wondering if this was a trap. After a few minutes, a short alien with 4 arms approached him. The alien's skin was purple, with small silver dots that looked like stars. "I am Hyun," the alien said quietly. "You ask about Tavens. Why?" Jun hesitated. Could he trust this stranger? But time was running out for Mary. "I have a Taven child with me," Jun admitted. "She was enslaved by the Vostok. I freed her, but she's sick." Hyun's yellow eyes widened. "You freed a Taven from the Vostok." He made a soft clicking sound. "Brave. Foolish, but brave." "Can you help her?" Jun asked. Hyun looked around carefully, then nodded. "My child was taken by the Vostok years ago. I never saw her again." His voice was sad. "I will help you. For her memory." Relief washed over Jun. "Thank you." "Not here," Hyun said. "Too many eyes. Bring your ship to Docking Bay 17 in 1 hour. It is private. I have friends." Jun returned to the Halcyon with the parts and hope. He fixed the most critical systems while Nari slept. "Min, set course for Docking Bay 17. Jun ordered when the hour was almost up. The ship moved quietly through the station's docking system. Bay 17 was in a darker, older section. It looked empty. "I detect 6 life forms in the bay," Min reported. "And a small ship." Jun's hand moved to his blaster. "Be ready for anything." As the Halcyon landed, Jun saw a group waiting for them. Hyun stood at the front. Behind him were aliens of different kinds, all watching with serious faces. "The underground," Hyun said when Jun opened his airlock. "We fight the Vostok. And now, we help you." Hyun and his friends quickly boarded the Halcyon. When they saw Nari lying weakly on the bed, they moved fast. A tall, thin alien with 6 fingers checked Nari's condition. "My name is Tai," she told Jun. "I was a healer before the Vostok came to my world." Tai placed a small device on Nari's forehead. It glowed with soft green light. "Will she be okay?" Jun asked, worried. "The neural bands did damage," Tai said. "But she is young. She will heal with time and care." Relief flooded through Jun. He had been so afraid that he was too late. "The Vostok will be looking for you both," Hyun said. "We must leave this station soon. Our ship will guide you to the Taven colony." "There's a colony?" Jun asked. Min couldn't find any record of it. "It is secret," Hyun explained, "hidden in the rings of the gas giant Novus. The Galactic Union does not know it exists. The survivors went there after the Vostok raids." As they spoke, Nari began to stir. Her white eyes opened fully for the first time since they escaped. The glow in her skin was stronger now. She looked at the aliens around her, then at Jun. A feeling touched Jun's mind. It was clearer than before. "Friend asterisk," it said. "Human friend asterisk." "She's getting stronger," Jun said with a smile. "The medicine is working," Tai agreed. "Soon she will be able to speak to you properly." Nari sat up slowly. She reached for Jun's hand and held it. Then she placed her other hand on his forehead. Suddenly, Jun's mind filled with images and feelings. He saw a beautiful blue world with silver trees and glowing buildings. He felt the warmth of a family's love. He saw the Vostok ships coming, the fear, the pain of being torn away. But there was more. Deeper memories that weren't just Nari's. The history of her people, their journey across the stars long ago, their meetings with other races, including humans. "I can see," Jun whispered in amazement. "Your people, they came to Earth thousands of years ago." The aliens around them gasped. "The old stories are true?" Hyun asked, his 4 arms moving with excitement. Nari nodded. More images flowed from her mind to Jun's. Ancient Tavens, visiting a young Earth, sharing knowledge with early humans. A connection formed. "They left something behind," Jun said, understanding coming to him. "A genetic marker." That's why I can feel what Neri feels. Humans and Tavans share some DNA. Ta quickly took a small sample of June's blood and analyzed it with her medical device. It is true, she confirmed, her eyes wide. There is a match in the telepathic centers. Not strong enough for full telepathy, but enough to form a connection. Neri squeezed June's hand. A new feeling came from her mind. Family. We're distant cousins, June said with wonder. That's why the Vostok's cruelty bothered me so much. On some level, I could feel her pain. This changes everything, Hyun said. If humans and Tavans are connected, the Galactic Union must acknowledge it. They cannot ignore the Vostok crimes if two species are affected. The ship's alert system suddenly beeped. We must go, Hyun urged. Vostok ships are entering the station. Follow our vessel to the Tavan colony. As everyone prepared to leave, Neri stood up shakily. She walked to June with small, careful steps. She placed both hands on his face and shared one more vision. A future, humans and Tavans working together, standing against the Vostok, freeing others who were enslaved. We will, June promised her. Together. 3 weeks later, June stood before the Galactic Council. The Great Hall was filled with representatives from dozens of species. Some were friendly to humans. Others were not. Commander Dole of the Vostok sat across the room, his yellow eyes full of anger. Next to June stood Director Suk, who had come to support him. And beside her stood Neri. The little Tavan girl was transformed. Her blue skin glowed brightly now. She wore a simple white dress with silver patterns. Her white eyes moved confidently around the room. The head of the council, a tall being made of shifting light, spoke. We have reviewed the evidence presented by Captain Kim of Earth. The abuse of telepathic species for industrial purposes must be addressed. Commander Dole stood up. This is a trade matter, not an ethical one. The Vostok Trading Consortium has operated this way for centuries. With respect, June said firmly, slavery is not trade. These are children, not tools. Murmurs spread through the hall. Some agreed, others did not. The connection between humans and Tavans is now proven. Director Suk added, our scientists have confirmed the shared genetic markers. She showed images of DNA strands on the large screen. The matching sections glowed red. This changes nothing, Dole insisted. Many species share genetic material from ancient times. It changes everything, said a new voice. All heads turned as the doors opened. A group of aliens entered. Hyun led them. Behind him came representatives from 12 different species. All had suffered under Vostok exploitation. We bring evidence, Hyun announced. Records of Vostok raids on 27 worlds. Proof of over 10,000 telepathic beings held against their will. This is not just about Tavans and humans. This affects us all. The council members looked at each other in shock. One by one, Hyun's group shared their stories. The evidence was overwhelming. Neri stepped forward. Using her telepathic abilities, now fully restored, she shared images directly with the council members. They saw through her eyes. They felt what she had felt. Many council members wept openly at what they experienced. When it was over, the head of the council spoke again. The evidence is clear. The practice of mural enslavement is hereby banned throughout Galactic Union space. Cheers erupted from some sections of the hall. The Vostok representatives sat in angry silence. Furthermore, the council had continued. A joint task force will be formed to locate and free all enslaved telepathic beings. Captain Kim of Earth will co-lead this force with elders from the Tavan colony. June bowed his head in acceptance. He had not planned for this, but he was ready. The Vostok Trading Consortium will pay reparations to all affected species, the council concluded. This ruling is final. Commander Dole stormed out of the hall. His time of easy profits was over. Later, outside the council chamber, Jun knelt down to speak with Neri. You'll be going home now, he said, to your people. Nari placed her small hand on his cheek. Her voice entered his mind, clear and strong now. Asterisk, you are my people too. We will work together to free the others. Asterisk. June smiled. Yes, we will. Director Suk approached them. The human fleet is ready to support the task force, Captain. Earth stands with the Tavans and all enslaved peoples. June stood and looked out at the stars visible through the great windows. Somewhere out there, other children waited to be freed. The path would not be easy, but they would not walk it alone. One rescue changed everything. Suk said quietly. It wasn't just me, June replied. It was all of us. Human compassion, Tavan courage, the underground's determination. Nari took his hand and squeezed it. Together, they looked to the future, a future where no child would be enslaved again, where ancient connections became new alliances, and where the moral compass of the galaxy shifted, one brave action at a time. It had begun with one human and one little alien girl. It would continue with many more.